Passion our purpose, profit our pain. I don't want my name to ever be in vain. A life full of substance is the only thing that will remain the same. Millennial thoughts. Welcome back to another episode of Millennial Thoughts with your girl Alicia. Yay, we are still on our relocation series, and I am so excited to be bringing a fellow Cardinal. Okay, a lot of people are Cardinals on this series, but Zita, and she is an engineer. Okay, period. So I am so excited for y'all to join us on our conversation about relocating. So give them some, little background about you, and then say where you moved from into where you are at now.
Sure, yeah. So thank you, Alicia. Yeah, so of course my name is Zita Aka. I am an engineer. I work on like supplier qualification for Tesla out here in San Jose. I moved out here about a year ago, but I've been working for this position for about a year and a half. And then prior to that, I was between Northern Kentucky, like Florence area, and then I was also living in Southern Indiana at my previous role there. So that's a little bit about, just where I've been in the past year and a half, 2 years.
Mm-hmm. What has been your favorite place that you've lived so far?
Definitely here. Close second is Louisville, though. I mean, Louisville will always have a special place in my heart. Like, I love that city. But so far, I've actually really, really loved it out here. So yeah, this has been a really great spot, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Everybody I'm talking about, I feel like everybody still loves Louisville, but I'm like, I don't know if I would go back because everybody left. So I feel like everybody's like, yeah, Louisville. I'm like, we need to do like a reunion or something there because everybody still likes Louisville.
I was thinking the same thing, and then we can all save some money living back in Kentucky again.
Okay, because all these other places are expensive. Yeah, it's true. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm about not to put these episodes out because then everybody gonna move to Kentucky and it's gonna get expensive.
I
So it's like
know.
Kentucky's a hidden gem out here. So who would ever have thought? But yeah, so that is definitely cool. Um, so it sounds like you kind of moved for your job. So did your job relocate you to every city that you've been to, or was it just like opportunities and you like switched jobs?
Yeah, definitely my job has been the catalyst for most of my moves. And it was for this. So when I got the job out here, I was able to start remotely with the expectation that within 6 months I would move to the head office, which is out in Palo Alto. So yeah, Tesla moved me out here as part of my role.
Oh, okay. At least they gave you 6 months because the other jobs they was making people move quick. Okay.
Yeah, and that could be super, super stressful. I mean, I feel like moving is always stressful, but like it definitely is. I feel like if a company's like not flexible. So I feel like I got kind of lucky because my manager was like pretty like flexible and understanding that moving across the country to a place you haven't been before and don't have family can be a lot.
Yes, definitely. Like what? Okay, a little slight flex. Did your like manager or someone like did they help you with like looking for housing and stuff like that? Like how was that process?
Yeah, so to be honest, the process could have, had some opportunities for improvement, I'll say. It wasn't totally ideal. But that actually kind of goes into like some advice I would give to other people, but I'll talk about my experience first.
Okay.
So the experience, like the way that it worked was, I got a relocation, like stipend,
Mm-hmm.
for I'll just say the amount. It was 5,000,
Mm-hmm.
which then you however you want to use that money to move, you can use it however you best see fit, and it's just a lump sum that was handed out to you. So that was the extent of the package essentially. Um,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
so then the way that I ended up using it was, It was like right after the tail end of the pandemic. So I feel like everything like supply chain and moving everything was like super expensive. So the like most cost effective way to end up moving was just like packing everything up, and I drove. My amazing boyfriend, now fiance,
Okay,
was like so
period. Flex. Okay.
was very kind to like help me with all of that. And like it was like a kind of fun trip because we went through the whole country, a bunch of places I hadn't seen before, and like made it more of like a trip. But
Mhm.
definitely like if you that's why I felt like my manager was helpful in some ways, because he was like flexible and let me take those days off and everything to make that move. If you have someone that's not as flexible and you got to be there like tomorrow, then that would have been probably would have made the experience a lot more stressful and like not
Mhm.
enjoyable. Um,
Oh, okay. So how
mhm,
long did it take you to travel from it was Kentucky to
mhm,
California?
mhm. It was like we did it in 3 days. Um,
Oh, okay.
mhm.
That is so cool. And since you brought up that you have a man, I just wanted to ask, like, was it hard to get like your man on board? Because some people they like might want to move, but like their significant others like not on board to move. Like, was it easy the conversation? I don't know like what your boyfriend does or anything like that, but was it easy for him to just move and relocate as well with the job, or did he have to like find a job too?
Yeah, that was also like a pretty big size hurdle as well. I mean, he's absolutely amazing. He is also an engineer, so he changed roles at his company to be able to work remotely.
Awesome.
And so he was able to move out here as well. Now it wasn't like, snap your fingers and it all happened. It was like a year of us being long distance and flying back and
Mhm.
forth. And he helped me move out here, and I got settled first until he was able to make the switch. It was definitely
Oh,
like a struggle
okay.
for a while,
Mhm.
like about a year, until all of those pieces fell into place. And now we're finally living together for like it's been like about 2 months now.
Oh,
So,
okay. So it's brand new. Okay, okay. So
mm-hmm,
he just helped you move out there. He didn't like stay with you. Okay, then that's different. But
mm-hmm.
you said it. So he was still in Kentucky, or where was
Indiana-ish
he?
area, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, 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 yeah. Oh, because that and that was gonna be another thing too. Because I was like, I know your family is in Kentucky and stuff like that. I was gonna say, how's the time zone working with like even you can talk about like your relationship, like when people move to California, like this is a whole different time zone than the East Coast. So like, was that kind of hard to like navigate to get used to first? How did you kind of handle that?
Yeah, it wasn't I wouldn't say it's terrible. I mean, East Coast is like 3 hour difference. I wouldn't say it's the worst. But it definitely is something to consider. I would definitely ran into some situations where we have to multiple times reschedule because I'm getting off late. By the time I get home, get situated, ready to be on the phone, it's like bedtime for people on the East Coast. I'm like, oh, I have to try again for the next day. So it's not
Okay, just try
simple, but it's like definitely like takes some coordination.
again. I love that. Like, okay, didn't do it today. Let's try again next day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've been in California for a year.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. And so you kind of answered the other questions, but with this question, I want to know: do you still feel like you're adjusting? Do you feel like you're settled in, like where you're at, or do you feel like you're still like trying to build?
Yeah, as cliche as my answer is gonna be, I feel like yes and no. Like I feel like I'm very much settled. Like all the like beginning pains of like, where's my grocery store? How do I get to the post office and mail something out to my friend that I need to, or whatever. Like all those little things I know how to do now. But would say that I'm still adjusting in some ways because like I haven't explored the area to the maximum. Like if someone comes and visit me, I'm still just like them on the internet researching like what we about to do, you
Like,
know.
okay, GPS it. Okay, that's good.
Exactly. So it's like a little bit of half and half, but I definitely would say like I have my group of friends established here. Like my weekends fill up pretty quickly with like planning things. So that part's I'm really grateful for. And it did take some time though, but I'm grateful that like I've kind of built my network here.
Oh, okay, well, how do you feel like you built it? How do you feel like you found friends and different things like that? Like, what were you utilizing?
Everything literally like I did meetups for a few
Hmm.
things. I had a few friends in the area that I kind of already knew, so I like joined their friend groups. But
Oh,
the
okay.
biggest advice I would say was like, if you get invited to anything when you first move to an area, like kind of much like go to everything, even if you're like semi interested in it or not. Because the friends that I'm closest to, I met in the most random ways. Like it wasn't some set like meetup or work or anything. It was like I got a random invite to go to a pool party. Then my friend there, like I met somebody that like invited me, and then like adjacently there was a girl who was also Ghanaian, and then like then that's how we met. So it's like I feel like because I was going to everything when I first got here, that's how I met a lot of people quickly. And a lot of people in this area are also transplants, so
Mhm,
people are out here trying to also meet people that because they just
mhm.
moved. But if you're like not going out, then it's like sometimes can be kind of difficult to actually run into those people. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that is definitely true. And so, what part are you in Southern California
It's
or
technically,
Northern?
I think, like Northern California
Oh,
is.
okay, okay. I
Hmm.
didn't realize. I was just wondering. And you
Hmm.
said you work remotely, or you don't?
I go into the office most of the time.
Oh, okay, okay. So that just had me ask you a question. So when you were looking for an apartment, first, did you visit the city before you moved out there, or no?
That's a good question. I actually did not. I just saw it was California, researched the area, and I was like, good enough for me. I'm going.
You weren't scared?
No, not really. I don't know, cause I was like, I don't know, like I'd already lived in like I don't know Alabama, Indiana. I was like, it's California. Like, how like what could it really be? So I mean, I know I did not come out here before I moved. Yeah.
Oh,
Hmm.
oh yeah. So what part of Alabama were you in?
Montgomery.
Montgomery. Okay. Did you like living there?
For yes, yes, but I couldn't stay there.
Oh, okay. I just visited like again Montgomery this year or whatever, so that's why I was wondering. I just know Alabama is really cheaper and it's really good in tech. Like Birmingham is getting like bigger in tech or whatever, so that's why I was asking.
Oh,
um,
okay.
so that's what they were saying, but I don't know what you were doing in Montgomery. I guess I don't know what's going on down there. But my main question
Not a
was,
whole lot.
did you sign a lease like virtually? Like, how did you do that?
Yes, I did sign the lease virtually. Okay, let me also clarify. I was coming out here for work a little bit, so I did like somewhat come to the area a little bit, but I hadn't like been apartment shopping per se like several
Mm-hmm.
times in the area or even like visited here and was like, oh, I want to target getting a job in San Jose because I loved it so much. It was kind of like because I already got the job, that's
Mm-hmm.
I just was okay with the area prior to that. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so I did pretty much everything remotely or in between like work trips coming out here very like for a week or so.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay. I just think it's so interesting. I don't know. In Atlanta, I would just never do the applying online and not seeing the apartments. But these last couple episodes, he was like, of course, y'all see the apartments online, but like signing a lease, like, whoo, without coming to the spot, I would be so nervous. But also, I don't know if where y'all moved that was as high demand as it is in Atlanta because it's kind of so hard to even figure out if things are open. They don't even answer their phones, and it's just a hot mess out here. So
Ooh.
yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah, yeah, it sounds like that makes a lot of sense. I mean, granted, I did like FaceTime with the leasing off manager and like see the place like
Well,
through like
that's even nice that they did
yeah,
that.
so I did like somewhat see it, but not in person. But yeah, like if they're not even picking up the phone, ooh, I definitely heard some horror stories. So that's
Yeah.
probably the smarter move to do, like you said.
Yeah, I have heard the horror stories. Like what? So, you said that your job gave you a relocation package. Now, was that something that you had to initiate, or was that something that they automatically gave you when they're like, "Oh, you have to move out here"?
It was part of my offer.
Okay, okay, that's good. See, you got to work for the right companies because a lot of people don't have that, so it's kind of hard to figure out how to like negotiate that or ask that. But when it's already there, it's kind of like, okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm,
um,
mm-hmm. But honestly, some advice I would give though is like even if you do get a relocation package, I would still try to negotiate because like you just don't really know how much money's on the table and like obviously do your homework, like see what the offer's fair. But I think that if that's something like in hindsight I would improve on, was like I could have negotiated a little bit more, because I ended up like ended up being like slightly a little bit more than I had budgeted for. So if I had negotiated, it would have been like an easier move from like a cost perspective.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. I don't know if you want to get too much into your numbers, but you moved from Kentucky, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So did you so how much, I guess, like in total, or you can give me a range, how much did it cost to relocate from Kentucky to California?
It was about like slightly over 5,000. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's not that bad. And so the reason I'm asking, because I know that you were saying that you were coming from home. So were you like, okay, I'm ready to move? Like, so were you going home to save money and everything like that? Or were you just like going home because you just was like, oh, I have this job, whatever? Or were you like saving money to be like, okay, I need this so that I can relocate? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So I went home because I was not working at the time. I had left my old company and was working on my
Oh.
master's. So while I was doing my master's, I was at home. And then once I got my job, that's when I moved from Kentucky to California.
Oh, okay, okay. I see what you're saying. See, I want to quit my job and move home, but like, I'd be like, what am I gonna do?
No,
Like,
like for me, it was like I was very frustrated. I definitely wouldn't advise people doing what I did. But I was just so frustrated. Like that's why I left before I had something else lined up. I don't advise it if you can avoid it, but
hmm,
sometimes it's like that.
okay, okay, I see what you're saying. And so speaking of like apartment hunting, speaking of relocating, different things like that, you can provide a range. I don't want you to provide your specific if you don't feel comfortable. How much would you say a one bedroom apartment is in the city that you live in?
Yeah, it definitely ranges. Anywhere from probably like 1,900 on the low end. I mean, on the
What's the
lowest,
low
lowest, on the lowest end, you could find maybe like 1,700.
end? Mm-hmm.
But I would say like standard would be probably like 22 to 25.
What?
Mm-hmm.
People are shacking up in California.
Yeah, that's the joke out here, is that
Oh,
people
for real?
get in relationships quickly just so you can split the rent.
Because like, who really has that? Like, who really has that money to go to rent? I mean, I guess some people do, but we're all not engineers. I guess I should have switched my major when I was in school.
No.
Because the engineers are out here making the money, and the IT people, I don't know what I was doing in college.
Nah, girl, it's tight for everybody. It's really tight. Like, I mean, it's just when you think about it, like all these other cities, and like, I feel like the cost of living, I mean, everyone is feeling the pinch. But definitely out here, it's just like mind blowing to see how much people
Yeah.
are spending per month on just four walls.
Exactly. Didn't it, like, I mean, like, shock you when you heard that price, especially coming from Kentucky?
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
that's why I was like, coming to Atlanta, I'm like, what? How much is this for this? Like, what? And then thinking what my brothers are paying was high, but they're like, everybody I know is like, oh, I'm coming from New York, I'm coming from California. I'm like, I'm coming from the Midwest, I'm coming from Kentucky. Like, I can't do these numbers. Like, I don't know what these numbers are. Like, I need to go back to Kentucky for a little bit because what is this?
Mm-hmm.
Baby,
Mm-hmm.
that would have stopped me from moving in general. Because why am I paying this much? And then it'd be like $2,200 and it'd be like 500 square feet. What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's another thing. You have to like shift your mind about how much space you're actually gonna have too. Yep, you're definitely hitting the nail on the head.
Yeah, so I'm like, I just can't like wrap my head around it. And I don't really know how people wrap their head around it either. So I am just kind of confused. I'm like, how do y'all be making it out there in California? Do you have extra money to spend to have fun to live, or do you feel like all your money is going to rent? Like, I just don't understand.
Yeah, it's definitely a mind shift to like have as much as my pay go to rent as it is. But I feel once again, this all goes back to like the negotiation at the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
because companies know that the cost of living is high out here, especially if they're recruiting you from out of state. So like it's like really important to have that conversation at the beginning. And so I feel like I'm pretty comfortable, because the pay that I have like compensates for that. So I
Mm-hmm.
do have, enough extra money to like still enjoy myself, hang out with people, get the things that I like. But definitely when I moved out here was the first time I made a budget, which I know is going to seem like super privileged or whatever, like definitely was so, but like I had to be very careful about my finances because like it's a
Yes.
lot of money going towards your rent, and like you can't just be some of my old like spending habits just wasn't gonna fly out here. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because when
that's
you're in
been shift.
Kentucky, and then also you're not paying as much rent, or even when you're with your parents, you're just like, okay, money's gonna come back, money's gonna come back. You're like, well, out here, good gosh, you can get that the first and then the next month again. Like, who said that we need to pay rent every month? Because like, what? That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
always make the joke like when it starts getting to the end of the month, I start getting in a bad mood because rent's about to hit.
Okay, like I hate the first. Like what? And then you just get paid. Well, some people get paid once a month or twice a month, but you get paid. You're like, well, dang, they're gonna take my money out tomorrow. It's just like, oh my goodness, like it's just annoying. So
Hmm.
I just don't really understand. But speaking about moving and everything, what do you think is the most important factor when it comes to moving or relocating? Like, whereas if it's for like a job, a person, like, what do you think the most important factor is?
I would say for me, the most important factor was like as much effort as it takes, try to go to everything that you're invited to, just because like you never know who you're gonna meet. I know I kind of touched on this, but like I
Mhm,
feel like that's what helped me build my community as quickly as I did. So like that would be my advice to other people. Like obviously take time for yourself. Don't go there if you don't want to be there. But like, you know, you never know who you're gonna meet. So like I like do your best to try to go to a lot of things so you can like see who's in your community.
mhm. Do you feel like since you are kind of so far away from your family, do you feel like you've dealt with like a lot of loneliness and everything like that, or do you feel like since you've been out going out, it's not really as prevalent because you feel like you've already built your community, or do you feel like sometimes you feel like homesick? I should say.
Hmm. I think there was a time like before the holidays last year.
Mhm.
I would say I was a little bit homesick because I wanted to go home for both Thanksgiving and Christmas,
It is so
but obviously
expensive.
like the flights didn't really work out. It was like
Mhm.
really expensive, and then like the timing didn't work out great. So at that time I was a little bit like lonely and like annoyed by the whole like distance,
Mhm.
but um yeah, it so far it hasn't been like, since obviously it helps also that like Taylor, my fiance, is out here now, so that's helped. And then also like having my friend group out here, we actually ended up having a Friendsgiving and a Christmas celebration too, because
Mhm.
so many people are transplants out here, so a lot of people end up also not traveling back
Uh-huh.
home just because they're in a similar situation.
Mhm.
So I don't know. It's a little bit of both, but for the most part, like that's what I'm saying. Like it's so important to like go out and have that friend group as quickly as you can, because those are people you're gonna lean on, especially if your family is far from where you're at.
hmm Yeah, I definitely talked about that too, like a couple episodes ago, about like how not to feel like lonely during the holiday season. So, if y'all listen to that, y'all can go check that out too. But I definitely talked about like you gotta pay now to go back, and like it's not like when you was younger, and flights and stuff are going crazy. So I do think I went back twice, or I think I went back twice 2020. I don't think I went back last year because then I did a friend miss instead. And this year I am going back, but I went to Florida, so I'm not really going back home. But I am going to go home for Christmas. So I feel like that goes into like the budgeting too. Like, okay, am I going to afford this
Hmm.
now? But it's like I guess if you think about it far in advance, but it's like it's so hard to think about stuff far in advance. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where they get you at. So it's like, okay, well, do I want to spend this with my family? Do I want to spend that with my family? But I feel like if I see my family a couple of times out the year, I don't always have to go home for the holidays. Because I've seen my family like 3 or 4 times this year already. So I think that depends on that as well.
Yeah,
So
but it's definitely a mindset shift. Like if you're someone that goes home or like has spent every holiday with your family and then you don't spend one, it can be like, oh my gosh, I feel so sad. Like you miss out on like a tradition or something like that. It's definitely a mindset shift for me. Like kind of how I view holidays now is sometimes it's just like a reset for myself. Like maybe it's not spending that time with family, but it's more of just like a moment for me to like pull away, reflect, maybe like do some
mhm.
like journaling, and like I'm kind of like redefined the
Yeah,
holidays a
maybe
little
like a
bit.
staycation or something.
Yeah, something like exactly. Or I love with the term I'd heard of like a friendsgiving, but I never heard of friendmas. But I'm gonna
Oh
start using
yeah.
that now.
Yes, Christmas. It's like
hmm
Christmas, but with friends. Yeah, they have all the traditions.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I
and I
love
like
that.
Christmas. Christmas is like one of my favorite holidays. So that's why I usually go home because we usually like have Christmas at our house. But like I feel like Thanksgiving kind of can be your friends. Like I even want to do like a solo trip, or I want to go like on a cruise. Like I don't really feel like Thanksgiving has to just be about family. Not saying that it can't be, but I feel like Thanksgiving is kind of like with friends, with this. Like we had Friendsgiving in college. I do feel like Christmas is kind of like more because you're giving gifts, you're doing more stuff like that kind of. So I'm always down, to go somewhere else, do something for Thanksgiving. So I'm not really like bound to that. And other holidays as well too. I do get the thing what you're talking about, like okay, because you're used to spending Fourth of July together, you're used to spending Memorial Day together, but like as the days go on and the years go on, like you're in different cities, you might can't go back for every single holiday.
hmm
So that's
Exactly.
and I would also say too, though, one thing I feel like people do, I don't know if you're does it or people open to it. Sometimes we like meet in different cities. So I've met my family in Dallas, I met my family in Destin, I met my family in Charlotte all this year. And then I went back to Louisville, so then I see my family there too. I was like, I see my family all year this year. We're gonna see how next year goes, but but yeah, so that's another thing too, like just being open if your family likes to travel to just see if y'all can meet somewhere, and it could be closer to you, like it could be driving distance and different things like that. Because I was gonna say, I know a lot of people in LA. You said you're north, but like South LA, they be going to Mexico all the time. I'm like, okay, I know why y'all go to
hmm
Mexico. The flights be so cheap. It's cheap to go to Mexico than it could be to go to New York, or they go to Hawaii. Like my friend went to Hawaii. Now that's never really going to be cheap, but it could be cheaper from LA.
Yeah,
Or like
no.
Washington or something like that.
Hmm
So yeah, I think about that too. So just trying to, I like how you said like redefine and figure it out. And then sometimes you just take the extra day to sleep. Okay, because we are adulting to read, to catch up on your shows. I feel,
Exactly.
I feel like I'm doing a marketing campaign. But no, for real, it's true. I really like that as well. So as we're wrapping up, this is my last question. You touched on it a little bit, but you can expand and talk about other things as well. Do you have any relocation advice or tips for people that are moving across the country? Maybe something that you thought, because you have moved a couple of times. So just within all that, moving for a job and different things like that, do you have any tips that you would give people?
Um, I kind of yeah, the first one that I comes to mind, I kind of already touched on, but I think it bears repeating is like if you are moving for a job, like definitely negotiate as much as you can for the pay for the relocation because um a lot of the times the first offer they give you there is more there if you just ask for it. And I think that that's something like everybody should do, just like hands down. um but if you're not moving for a job, I would say, like, I guess kind of having like what you want out of the move, and kind of having like a strategy around it, because I feel like it's so hectic once you're actually in the process of moving and even getting there. And then even just like adjusting to, the area and work and all that stuff, that maybe sometimes the reason why you even wanted to do that move, you kind of fall away from. So I think like kind of writing that down at the beginning of like what's your hopes and like goals for going to this area, so that you can kind of like go back to that and just kind of see where you tracked. Obviously, if it changes, that could be like better or worse, or even if it hasn't changed and you're like on track for your goal, then that's awesome too. But it's kind of like an anchor for the whole thing, because once you're in the process of the move, it's like a roller coaster you're already on at that point. So having that anchor of why you're doing the whole thing, I feel like can be like a positive way to like stay firm for what you're trying to what you want to be there for.
Oh, okay, okay, that's really good. And you brought up a good point that made me think about it when you're saying if you don't move for a job, like know what you're moving for and different things like that. Did you have any non-negotiables like when you were moving to these cities that you went to? You're like, I cannot move here if they don't have blah 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 blah.
um Not then. I didn't have like some like really strong non-negotiables, but I feel like I've built some now. So whenever for me, San Jose, I love it, but it's not my long-term
Mm,
place where I plan to settle down. I probably have maybe one or two more moves I see in my immediate
okay.
future.
How do you see it
Um,
with your job, or just like because you're getting about to get married and stuff like that? Like, how do you?
yeah, one of the two. I'm not sure which one will be the leading or lagging factor, but I think it probably will be for my job again. Um,
Mm,
but for the like non-negotiable part, for
okay.
me, like if an area is non-diverse, I can't do it anymore. I,
Ah, that's
yeah,
why you're.
yeah, I can't do it anymore. I've done it for a while, but I can't do that anymore. And then something that that's kind of teetering, if I want to put it on my non-negotiable, is if the city is walkable, like
Mm,
if you have to drive everywhere to get somewhere. I used to be
mm-hmm,
totally okay with that, but now that I have different modes of transportation I can choose from, I'm kind of
mm-hmm.
spoiled in that way, that like I would really love to keep that aspect of it, because it's just so nice when you can just run downstairs, walk like 2 blocks, go get something, and run back upstairs, and your car can just sit there for like potentially like a week. Like it blew my mind coming from Kentucky, because you have to drive your car to
Yes, you
go
gotta drive everywhere. That's
everywhere.
what I was gonna say. You gotta drive everywhere. In Atlanta, you gotta drive everywhere too. And but you know the Northeast, you could get a train. I said at this point, I think I'm ready to just sit down on the train because I'm tired of driving, tired of filling up my tank. I just want to sit down, get there, and boop boop boop, get some walking in. Okay.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm like Kentucky. You got to drive everywhere. Like there's not really good transportation,
Mm-mm.
like public transportation. Like there's a little bit, but not really. So I was like, I'm used to driving, so that's why I feel like I'm so nervous to go to like a different state that heavily relies on transportation. But when you're talking about a walkable city, I went to Philly, and I feel like Philly is a great walkable city, and so that's
Mm.
probably like what I haven't seen. Like, oh, this is walkable. You can go here. You could do this. Like within half like drive, go here, do this, like you could walk, you could go see this, you can get a bus, you can go to the train, like there's definitely more options. So I really like that that you said that. And what has been the most diversity you've lived in?
Definitely here.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely here. um Actually, preparing for this, I looked up like a few little facts, because like obviously I have my lived experience, but I was like interested, the nerdy side of me, what are the stats looking like? And
Because
so um
coming from
San
Kentucky, we
Jose,
just don't
there's
know everything is might be a little bit more diverse, but
oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, for San Jose, there's like 56 languages spoken here.
mm,
And then another little fun fact is that 40% of the residents are foreign born. So, they immigrated here from another country. So I thought that was pretty cool. So it's like it's very, very diverse. And I feel like that's fun to see. Like when you go to eat, my goodness, you can get any cuisine, anything you want, because like everyone, if you go to the grocery store, like you don't even have just like Walmart as an option. You have like, everyone's cultural for markets to go to. So
oh,
like there's
that's
just
really cool. So
so
yeah,
there's
you
like a
like
lot of
that.
options.
Do you feel like that the cultural barrier, do you feel like there's like a lot of language barriers or cultural barriers because it's so diverse, or do you feel like it's kind of like everybody accepts everybody?
Hmm. I think in the workplace and when you go out for the most part, I haven't experienced anything that was like extremely off-putting, but like I'd say people are pretty open out here. I haven't had an experience where I felt the opposite. So
Okay,
yeah.
well that's good. We love that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay then. And then the last question is, did you have any non-negotiables for like your apartment or anything like that? Or do you feel like people should really like think about looking to, I know earlier you were talking about the space and changing the mindset. You said that a lot in this episode. So I was just wondering about that.
Like non-negotiables when it comes to the apartment complex that you live
hmm
in.
hmm
Hmm.
Yeah, because I remember you said you moved out there by yourself at first. So I was like, oh, were you like, okay, I need to have security, or like I need to have a gate? Like, was that things that you were thinking of?
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I was. So I chose to live in like more of the suburbs at first, just because, like, kind of like I mentioned, I hadn't really came out here prior to. So I had a friend who, she had already moved out here. She had also relocated from like Midwest. She was from Michigan, and she loved living in Sunnyvale, which is like a suburb of San Jose. So
Mm-hmm.
that was like something I was looking for because it's like super safe. There's like not a lot of like heavy like city traffic. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't move straight to the city first. So I think that was like my main thing. And
Mm.
then once I got used to the area and I lived here for a year, now I live in downtown San Jose because like, I'm like more comfortable with the area now and I'm
Okay,
okay with it.
downtown. Yes, and you feel like it's more walkable and stuff like that because you're
Exactly.
downtown.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I am so glad that you decided to be a part of the relocation series. I definitely enjoy this conversation and your perspective and all the gems that you dropped, for the people. So I just wanted to say thanks so much. And who's ever listening, okay, and y'all are thinking about relocating, don't forget that you can get your free relocation expense tracker on the website. The link is in the show notes. And also, you can book a consultation. And hopefully, y'all join us on the next relocations episode.